Halloween
Forever.
You better watch out. You better watch out. You better watch out. You better watch out. Welcome, boys and ghouls, to another Minisode of Halloween is Forever. I'm Brian.
I'm Meg.
I'm Steve.
These intros are getting more manic and dangerous.
I think that's a really good word for it, is manic. Yeah.
I started doing that with my my girls and I. We heard that song in the car, and Maggie just started doing that because she could only remember the first word, and it sounded really sinister. Or the first line,
does.
"You better watch out. You better watch out. You better." But in any case, guys, I don't know if you're in the Christmas spirits. I have been just secreting Christmas spirit for nigh on 3 weeks now. We're officially into mid-December. This is where we got to start the heavy hitters of Christmas horror, guys. And there is no hitter heavier than the classic from 2005, Santa's Sleigh. You guys are not as enthusiastic about it as me. I get it. Meg, this was your first watch, was it not?
It was 110% my first watch, yes.
Yeah, I snuck into the Zoom here a little late and heard you guys, and you were just gushing about it.
Well, I walked into it not realizing that Goldberg was in it, and that made me really excited. And then also made a lot more things make sense.
Fuck yes.
So like the instant I started watching and I saw him, I'm like, my guard is already down because my mind's in like WWE mode. I'm like, nothing is real. Everything is just silly and off the wall and exaggerated, basically like soap opera-ish. And so that's where I was at with this movie. And I'm like, I think that changed the vibe for me, that I was instantly cool with it.
Yeah. And listen to me. Goldberg is once and forever WCW. As a WCW loyalist, I will not have you besmirch World Championship Wrestling by saying that Goldberg is a WWE guy. He is WCW through and through. I know he dabbled.
I know
he went over to the dark side.
Yeah, I'm like, who did he come back to?
But I'm saying his run, the legendary Goldberg run, was WCW.
Everyone
mid-90s.
sells out at some point, bro.
Yeah, I guess so. He's WCW in my heart. Steve, you've seen this though before, right?
Yeah, I saw
it right when it came out, right?
Yeah, I saw it originally when it came out, and I believe I rented it off mail-in Netflix.
Nice.
And we talked about it, and I remember not liking this movie.
Yeah.
Except I think I was incredibly drunk when I first saw it.
Yeah.
And so, like, I think I was like throwing up drunk, and so that I just probably have like
that tends to ruin a movie watching experience. Yeah, having alcohol poisoning.
Yeah, so like, I just had that bad memory, and I've never watched Santa's Sleigh since.
Yeah.
But yeah, rewatching it, this movie's a lot of fun.
It's a fucking blast.
Yeah.
If you don't fall in love, and we'll get into it, we're not going to jump right in because we got a couple of orders of business to deal with off the bat, but if you don't fall in love with this movie in the first 5 minutes, we can't be friends. We honestly can't. I would like to still, but we can't because we're two very different people. When you get a Fran Drescher, when you get the likes of a Chris Kattan, and then you get Sonny Corleone himself, James Caan. Uncredited. He wanted to have nothing to do with this.
Keep my name off this.
He showed up for 90. He said, you got 90 minutes, motherfuckers. That's what he get. It is wild, but we'll get into it, guys. We'll get into it. But we have a couple of things we got to discuss off the bat. First of all, what beers do we got here? It's time to get loosey-goosey. What are we drinking?
Yo, I'm walking into my birthday weekend, which also late happy birthday over there to Steve, because he snuck it by us last week.
We got 2 December babies. I know Steve didn't even bring it up last week.
So
no, I didn't want to cloud your judgment as far as picking movies and
like you are above doing a thing like that.
Yeah, right.
So in spirit of celebrating myself, I grabbed a couple bottles from work to drink this weekend, and one of them was Pitchline pills from Notch. I'm finally diving into it.
Beauty.
So Yeah, that's what I got going on. It's really nice. Yeah, and I think I've had it for a little while now, but so it's holding up really nice.
Nice. I love them. My love for Notch Brewing is well documented. I have not ordered anything for a while though, because I've had some Smith & Len stuff and I've had some other stuff from out of town and been swapping beer. I guess kind of treasure boxes with some friends and things like that. So I've had plenty to drink, but I do need to get another order of the Notch. Steve, what do you got?
I'm drinking much lower class. I have an O'Fallon chocolate cream cookie stout.
Oh yeah,
which is like out of their variety
festive.
pack. Yeah. It's cookies.
Yeah,
but
it's
out of
liquid cookies.
Yeah, they did a variety pack of like cookie tin.
Yeah,
and to be fair to them, they're not doing the thing where they just dump a bunch of fucking cookies in the mash. Mm-hmm. They're doing more try to mimic flavor.
Yeah.
So yeah, this one's all right. There's another one in the pack that's based off an oatmeal cookie. Mm-hmm. That's really good because it's like it has like a lot of raisin and cinnamon.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask. I feel like sometimes when people say that they have an oatmeal cookie, raisins not always included, and I am 100% through and through a raisin oatmeal cookie. Far superior.
Raisins and everything. Listen, I don't care. I know people were opposed to the raisins. I just this afternoon got all of my dried fruits soaking in my brandy to get ready to make the damn fruit cake. I love any and all dried fruits, especially raisins. And when people, I don't understand the hate for raisins. I don't get it.
I think it's because people have been tricked.
Yeah.
So like I definitely really appreciate raisins in an oatmeal cookie. That's great.
Yeah.
But if you give me a cookie that looks like a chocolate chip cookie with raisins and I expect it to be chocolate chips, I'm going to be mad.
You're going to get all pissed off. See, this is what I do. This is what I do. If I'm eating anything and I get surprised with a raisin, I'm like, ooh, bonus raisin. Yeah. I put raisins in my in my stuffed peppers, my stuffed cabbage. I go straight Hungarian.
Really?
Old school Hungarian
I've
style.
never heard of this, but I'm very
golden
curious.
Raisins. I go golden raisins, but yeah.
Sure.
It's like braised meat dishes, especially some like Central and Eastern European braised meat dishes. I fuck with some raisins, especially some golds. Yeah. So,
dang.
Listen, I'm team raisin all the way, guys. Unapologetically. I'll fight a motherfucker over it. I'm going bougie as hell tonight. I've got we were discussing a little Trappist Roquefort 10, one of the most kind of recognizable classic Trappist Belgian quads out there. It's a big boy. Sipping a Belgian quad out of a snifter. I got a fucking cardigan on. I'm just like bougie as hell right now.
Like I said, I think the belt changes you.
I know it does. I wish I had one of those like long, like Cruella de Vil, Hunter S. Thompson style cigarette filters right now. That'd be sick.
My God.
I did. Listen, I'm not ashamed to say I had one of those in college. I bought it from a smoke shop. I went through a Hunter S. Thompson phase. I think a lot of us do. I thought I was very cool walking around with my Panama Jack hat on and my long cigarette filter. But it is lost the annals of time. So, you know what? Maybe Santa will put one in my stocking this year. Who knows?
Let me ask something. So. And just a general thing to the world.
Yeah.
Did anybody ever get so kind of douchey that they made an artisanal version of those for vapes? Like there's just a super long vape rod out there.
I guarantee you there is. Because there's so many different types of vape tools. There is going to be whatever the like 35 version of Instagram is, or 2040. There's going to be an account that's just dedicated to making fun of the stupidest pieces of like vape paraphernalia ever, because I've seen
that doesn't exist now, because I feel like that'd be a great
probably already
thing
does.
now to do. Oh my God,
because there's
hilarious.
Like there was like an Onion article a few years ago that was like guy is obviously futuristic bounty hunter or something like that, because he had like the blue one, this one that looks like a cigarette with blue on the end.
Right. Yeah.
It's like this guy is obviously a futuristic bounty hunter, and the whole thing is just like a regular guy, but they were insisting he's a futuristic bounty hunter. But yeah, there's funny. That, and then like the Gen 1 vapes, if you recall, it was like the old 80s giant cell phone in a bag version of the vape. It was like you were holding a fucking train whistle. You know what I mean? It was like huge.
Yeah.
Well, I guess, the real original vapes were the big volcano that you fucking sucked out the bag.
Oh, yeah. you had to have 14 contractor bags in your possession when you left the house in the morning, which is so convenient. We all know that's so convenient. Yeah, so we had a couple of things to do. I forgot, in addition to talking about beers, believe it or not, guys, it is time to start talking about the very first Showdown episode. I know it just seems like your boy just took home the belt. I know you're enjoying his reign. I know you're enjoying Meg's just looking at me with what can only be described as disdain on her face right now. But believe it or not, we're gonna have another Showdown coming up here not
You're
too
so
terribly
lucky
far
I'm
down the
here
road.
and not there, buddy.
I know. Yeah, we're doing it on Zoom again, so I got a big mouth out here because I know I'm not going to get power bombed. So we're going to talk about what we're going to do for January, and we're going to go back to our standard format, kicking off the new year with 3 options that are randomly selected from our spinner wheel online here, where we've put all of our suggestions, all of the things we've come up with for potential topics. We'll pick 3, we'll throw it out on the social medias, and then you can decide which one we do for the month of December. Speaking of social media, if you choose to help us pick those topics or suggest topics or just get some goddamn spooky ooky shit in your social media feed, please give us a follow over there at Instagram, or on Instagram at Halloween is Forever.
We are Instagram.
We just go to at Instagram, go to your phone, say Siri, go to Instagram. We'll be there. It'll be the first thing that comes up. I mean, there's no doubt. That's how it works. Our search engine optimization is through the fucking roof. It's fucking next level. It's at Halloween is Forever on Instagram, at Hallow Forever on Twitter, Halloween is Forever podcast on Facebook, at Halloween is Forever pod at the TikTokies, and then Halloween is Forever pod at gmail.com if you want to change my name. So
Boom.
Let's get into the 3 picks that the wheel is going to bestow. And honestly, I think this could either be a great way to start off the year, right? 2021 kind of sucked ass for a lot of folks. Not quite as bad as 2020, in my humble opinion. 2022 could be an absolute fucking banger, or it could be another shit sandwich. And I really think this is going to really, in a lot of ways, determine maybe the rest of our lives. So I'm nervous. I'm sweating a little bit.
Let's set the tone tonight.
Yeah. Is this going to be a fucking Ghost of Mars situation, or what's going to happen?
Last month was totally my Ghost of Mars month, and I'm really still upset about it, guys.
Yeah. You know how it feels now. You know how it feels. Now you can have a little empathy for me, Meg.
You know what, though? That I'm still upset that I couldn't find a record of the movie I watched. Like a physical vinyl record isn't out there. And I found one for yours. Which it was hilarious that it came out on Black Friday. Like, it was a special release. That wasn't just one copy, Brian. There were 10.
Yeah. It's a gem. It's a damn gem. That's all there is to it. I imagine you bought all of them. You bought the entire inventory out for all your friends and family.
Yep. No, primarily just for you guys.
Just
every single Christmas and birthday, I'll be like, got you guys something.
We're all getting Ghost of Mars forever and ever.
Oh man!
And then you give it to someone else.
You should start one of those installations. Like, did you see those guys out? And I don't know if they're in LA or what, where they had the entire, basically like video store, and all it was just copies of Jerry Maguire on VHS.
Yeah,
and they had everyone from all over the world sending them. They had like 30,000 copies of Jerry Maguire on VHS. And their original plan, I don't know if they still did. Their original plan was to build like a pyramid in the desert out of like a humongous like multi-story pyramid in the desert out of copies of Jerry Maguire on VHS. I don't know if they actually did it. It was a pretty wild story.
It sounds like a Burning Man thing.
It sounds like a Scientology thing, actually.
That's
it. And they would actually call them Jerry's. Like, they stopped calling them like copies of Jerry Maguire. They'd be like, I got 30 new Jerry's today.
We got new Jerry's today.
Yeah. It was wild. All right.
Anywho.
Take it away, Steve. Back to School.
That almost seems appropriate for the new year.
I really like that. Back to School. I mean, you could go in so many different directions with Back to School. That's going to be a pretty wide open one, but I like it. Can we say that for Back to School, it's got to be something that's like, you know, based around a school? It can't just be like there's a scene with a school in the background. You know, it can't be Halloween. You know what I mean? Like,
I think that's a fair criteria.
So would Santa's sleigh fit into Back to School because there is a lot of scene? No? Okay.
I would say no. It's not. If you said Santa's sleigh to somebody, they wouldn't be like, oh, a group of co-eds or like, you know. But if you picked like, so here would be a better one that would be a question, something like, oh gosh, I keep wanting to say Prom Night, not Prom Night, Terror Train.
Yeah.
You know, with Jamie Lee Curtis. It's a
Right.
school function. Much of it happens around this like fraternity and in the house. I feel like that one might be okay. Like you could potentially do that. It's a school. It's a bunch of co-eds on like a fraternity event or something like that. Even that
Right.
one though is a little bit
Because
weak for school.
Yeah, because it only, like, the opening is at the school,
Yeah.
but then the rest is on the train, so...
They do, but they talk the whole time about like, oh, what are you going to do
Right.
after school? We're all med students. They talk about how they're med students the whole time. So like my point is that one's like that is like the lower threshold in my mind. You know what I
Right.
mean? Of like what constitutes a back to school movie.
However, Ghoulies...
Yeah. Or Ghoulies 3, Ghoulies Go to College,
right.
is a great one. Or, you know, The Faculty, right?
Right.
Something like that makes a lot of
That came to mind
sense.
for me too.
So,
Cool. Well, that's one.
and the next one here, let's see what we got.
Wheel.
We've got a lot
Interesting.
of fucking ones. Favorite Hitchcock. Ooh.
Okay.
Ooh. Ooh.
Okay.
Ooh.
Interesting.
I'm here for it.
I like a favorite Hitchcock situation. One, because a couple of my favorite movies are Hitchcock movies, and also there's a lot I haven't seen. Even though I like almost everything I've seen from Hitchcock, there's a lot I haven't seen.
In this case, are we willing to, because Hitchcock is so early in, you know, what the evolution of horror is, are we willing to drop a lot of the pretense of what we're allowing in?
I think so. Because
like
Rear Window.
Yeah.
That's the one I would think of. Like that Rear Window, I think, even though it's more of a thriller, psychological thriller.
Right.
Is like I feel like that's a good one.
Yeah, and then like Psycho is like a proto slasher.
Yes, but that's
The Birds I would consider for sure a horror film because that's.
I think Psycho's pretty definitively a horror movie.
Oh yeah, it is. Yeah, I wasn't trying to say it wasn't, but I'm just saying it's like pretty early proto slasher.
Yes.
It's not like scary per se, with the exception.
Not necessarily.
Yeah.
There's some great performances, creepy performances, but I get it. Yeah, I think there's probably some Hitchcock films that there definitely are some that are not horror, right? And then there's some that are like span the line. But listen, let's not put the cart before the horse, boys and ghouls. Let's wait until we'll see if anybody.
This is what happens: that we get people excited about a topic, and then they choose that topic.
Right.
They
You guys
just
gotta
pick
shut
the
the
ones
fuck
that
up.
they can see that we're gonna fucking fight over.
Oh.
Musical horror.
Whoa.
Films with musical themes or numbers.
That might be fun too. All three of these would be really fun, actually.
These are all. Listen, 2022 is gonna be a fucking banger, guys.
I was so in for favorite Hitchcock, but now I'm all in on this one.
I know. I love this theme. I mean, I'd be really, really happy with any of these three, but I'd be lying if
I'm
I said
staying
I wasn't.
neutral on all accounts, guys.
Yeah. There's a few.
Or
Phantom of the
listeners,
Paradise.
choose your
Rocky
favorite.
Horror.
Yeah, no, there's some good stuff there.
There's some fantastic ones. And it could even be ones that, ooh, now my brain's going here now a little bit. Now I'm like Monster Club. There's a lot of good ones that we could potentially do. Monster Club's not good. It's terrible. You guys are hating it, so I will not pick it. But I love it. It's very charming, but in a very, very stupid fucking way. Okay, so the wheel has spoken for the first showdown episode of 2022. January showdown potential topics are back to school. So that's anything that has, takes place in a school or is, heavily school themed. Favorite Hitchcock films. Obviously, we're going to stick to horror or near horror, horror adjacent thriller type Hitchcockian. No, not specifically Hitchcock. I shouldn't say Hitchcockian because then Steve will try to convince us Beetlejuice is Hitchcockian. Yes. And then last one, musical horror films. This is anything that is, of course, if it is actually a musical with musical numbers or is heavily, music influenced or has a number of musical scenes in there, obviously. So that's what you got to choose from. So in the coming week, check us out on the social medias. If you haven't already, go ahead and give us a follow over there so you can help us decide what we're going to discuss for a showdown episode in January, which will be the first Monday of January.
Actually, it won't, Brian.
Oh, really?
Because the first Monday will be January 3rd. And we were talking about how we probably wouldn't be able to get it recorded in time for that.
That's true. So we'll probably do it that second Monday in January. Yeah. Great point. So we will target that
January 10th. Yeah,
the 10th of January for that showdown episode. So yeah. Beautiful.
Also, January is another one of those 5-week Mondays. 5 Monday months. So yeah. There's plenty of space. But
listen, all that means for me is I get another week with the belt. That's all I'm saying. I get another week with the belt.
The belt really does change people. I'm going to keep saying that. And I think Steve over here is trying to hold out and be like, yeah, it's a 5-week month. You're going to try to go after that belt again. Hardcore. You're like, I need it. Yeah. I'm feeding. It's the precious belt. For sure.
Yeah. The nice thing is, though, that actually Steve has my belt currently. Am I accurate in saying that?
Oh.
Out of somewhere.
Bring my fucking boat. We've recorded the last couple of the last episode was the showdown episode. This is our first minisode after that. And Steve's like, I'm not feeling good. I can't record in public. I need to have the belt for another week. I see right through what you're fucking doing, Steve. But
what Brian doesn't know, after we're done recording, it's going to turn right into the WWF. And if you remember the time that Steve Austin threw Rock's belt off the bridge.
Don't you fucking dare. Don't you dare. I just watched The Irishman the other day and all those guns at the bottom of the lake, and that better not be where my belt's going. Or the Schuylkill River. In any case, listen, despite all this shit talking, despite Steve hoarding my belt, I'm gonna be horse kicking your door like the cops at 7 a.m. tomorrow morning to get my belt. Despite all of that, I have been a right and just and fair and kind champ to these fucking peasants by giving them a fantastic film to take with you and watch this week. It is, like I mentioned,
not worthy, Brian.
Tell me you didn't love this fucking movie. Tell me you didn't love it. It's a blast. Santa's Sleigh from 2005. So let's get into it a little bit. The first thing to note. It was streaming for free on Tubi for the longest time. I watched it on Fubo TV because I have a Fubo subscription to get like local channels. It's streaming a lot of other places. Currently, you do have to pay for it. I think Peacock, on a lot of those other outlets. I actually
was able to watch it for free, but I just had to sign up. I didn't pay. Yeah. I didn't even have to put any card information in, but I just figured if anyone wants to watch it.
Oh, if you had to do the free trial on Peacock to go download it there.
I don't know. I did. They just asked for my information. Just like sign up for a Peacock account and you can watch it. They must have some free movies on there or something like that.
Oh, nice. Didn't know that.
Yeah, Peacock is free for the most part. It's just like if you want to watch the premium stuff, you got to pay.
Yeah. Shit, I didn't know that.
Yeah, everything else is ads.
Lots of commercials, though. Lots of long commercials, though.
That's what I watched. Fubo, I pay a goddamn subscription for, and I still had to watch it with commercials. So that's a shitty service. I don't know why I subscribe to it. All I need is Tubi. Tubi's my once and future love. But the director of this goddamn gem is a guy named David Steinman. This is his only directing gig. Yeah. If you look at IMDb, he's just other staff on pretty much everything. He's like he's scrap services, I think, on every other set he's ever been on. But he's been in a bunch of high profile stuff.
Right.
But not in a high profile role from what I understand. He's what do they call that job? Something boy. What's it called?
Best boy? No.
What's it called?
What?
Best boy? No, I don't think
Best
that's
boy. Yeah.
I don't think
what's
that's
that?
his job.
I know, but what is that? I don't know what that is.
I think that's a camera operating position.
Oh, okay.
Believe.
I just always remember I would see the title, the credits, best boy, and I'm like, what the fuck's a best boy?
Yeah, I
don't know.
I think that's usually somebody who works on the rigging of cameras, not so much the actual movement of lenses or anything.
That's just what I call my dog.
He's the best boy.
He's the
You are
best
just
boy.
the best boy. I wish people would call me the best boy. So as I mentioned, the opening to this movie is fucking brilliant. It is fucking brilliant. So it is star-studded. They clearly were like, okay, guys, we got to get a slam bang start to this movie. Let's spend all of our money in 5 minutes by just getting some faces that people recognize. So you see right off the bat, there's this dinner scene. It's this like shitty, entitled, rich asshole family. They're all like materialistic pricks.
I couldn't fully understand Chris Caan hitting on, like, I didn't know who he was related to and who he wasn't.
Right.
There is absolutely so here's what I took from. So first of all, you get a Fran Drescher, right? You get the nanny yourself.
Fran Drescher.
Then you get a Chris Caan. You get Mango. You got the nanny. You got Mango. You got Rebecca Gayheart. I think Chris Caan was supposed to be married to Rebecca Gayheart.
Yeah.
Because she says something about like, what do you want from Santa? Oh, I want a
loyal,
faithful husband or something like that. But then he's playing footsies with Fran Drescher under the table. You also get, like I said, Sonny Corleone himself. You get James Caan. He is completely uncredited, not even on IMDb. He doesn't have anything to do with this motherfucker. I love it. And then you have a couple of other tertiary characters that I didn't recognize that are like, they look like they're maybe perhaps twins, but they're like the young kind of daughters, and they're arguing about like what type of handbag they're gonna get for Christmas, and they have like this little dog on like a little throne and shit. It's just like the whole thing is just way over the top, way kind of corny, tongue-in-cheek, and they're kind of being dicks to each other, and all of a sudden really without any type of like foreshadowing, like what's that noise on the roof, there's like none of that. It's just Bill fucking Goldberg as Santa Claus down the chimney,
that was a great
punches
entrance.
his way out of the like upper part of the chimney that's exposed in the mantle, and just starts absolutely fucking everybody up. He sets Fran Drescher's hair on fire. First thing he does is punt the dog. And then James Caan kind of like gives him this weird like impressed approval. He's like, oh, all right. All right, nice punt, nice kick. And then he just starts fucking everybody up. He ends up like shoving like I think it's Rebecca Gayheart's character backwards, or one of the daughters, like
one of the daughters. He shoves her backwards.
Yeah, she falls back, and her like something. I think like one of the corners of like the dog's little throne bed goes through her neck, and then he sets Fran Drescher's hair on fire. Then Chris Caan does this absolutely just asinine like early 90s like I know karate move where he's like and he like whips his arms around, and then just gets just big boot fucking Kane style just backwards into like a curio cabinet, and I blurt laugh every time I see it, because it's like this Chris Catan's like what, he's got to be 5'3", 120 pounds soaking wet, and he does this little like karate thing like you're about to get your ass kicked, and Bill Goldberg, who's just a monster, just comes with the front blah, and kicks him like fucking Charlie Murphy through the fucking
punts him just as hard as he punts the dog. So
it's so good. It's so good. And then eventually, oh, you go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, Brian, what you don't know is that Punisher Warzone opens basically exactly the same way.
With Chris Caan and everything.
So it's coming back to this.
just immediate violence upon an entire family.
Yeah.
You'll see it eventually, but it's the same thing. You go, oh, it's just Santa's sleigh again.
Same movie.
Santa's sleigh.
If every movie was Santa's sleigh, I'd be happy. So then he kind of turns his James Caan is kind of like in the background. He's just kind of like taking this all in, and
he's been pinned to the table.
Yes, he pinned his hands to the table with like carving forks.
Yeah, carving fork and knife for the turkey.
Yeah, the whole thing is very much played for laughs, to the point where like it's like James Caan's making fun of like how dry. Hope the turkey isn't as dry as that fucking turkey from last year. They're just being dicks to each other. And then eventually he jams a turkey leg in James Caan's mouth and then smashes his face like Joker style, Heath Ledger style, where he makes the pencil disappear, but it's a turkey leg in his gullet. And it's just fucking brilliant. And then you never see any of those people besides Bill Goldberg for the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
Right. There's no like, oh, hey, how did this family die? There's no like, oh, now we got to investigate this. It's
there's
like, nope,
literally
let's just keep moving on. We're moving on.
Yeah, it reminded me of my Hellraiser movie from last week, where it was like, was this just shot as a teaser to get funding for it? And then they were like, it turns out it's the best part of the movie by far.
So speaking of Brian, I don't know that you picked this up. It was just something I saw, like going through the credits. Mm-hmm. The director of your Hellraiser film is thanked in the special thanks of this movie.
Do you think he did this? He probably
that's funny.
Either consulted or did something from an effects standpoint, right?
That's what I would guess too. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I did not catch that. And guys,
that makes sense though.
This is listen, I don't believe in fate, but I think that's what we're experiencing right now. We were destined to discuss this movie as my championship award to myself. Yeah. So then like I said, it just nothing ever happens after this. Although here's a couple of lines. This movie is like very 2005, and if it came out in 99, you'd believe it too. Mm-hmm. There's tons of like very inappropriate not stuff that would not hold up, nor would it be like okay to put in a movie today, like certain verbiage and stuff like that. This one though, it's definitely, I mean, intentionally a prejudice or racist, but like the way he says it, I don't understand it. There's no context. It's obviously played for laughs. She's saying the prayer, the one daughter, and she goes, "Oh," she's like, "Thank you, God, for this. Thank you, God, for that. Also, thank you for not making us poor or Samoan."
Yeah, I did not fully understand that either. I was like, what is the time and place of that?
Well, and then that's the thing is James Caan looks at like his supposed, I guess, wife or whatever, and kind of does this like question, like, why'd she say that? And she just goes like, no, like just let it go.
Yeah.
Kind of like, what's the deal with she doesn't like Samoans? And he's like,
wait, is there any tie to the WWE through this film? Do you know? Because, I mean, a lot of the wrestlers that are, like, super famous are Samoan, too, so maybe it was just, like, a joking jab, like, behind-the-scene jab. I don't know.
That's a good question,
I mean, Goldberg was wrestling The Rock in 2003. But this movie came out in 2005, so I don't know. Yeah.
When was Samoa Joe big? I mean, he was right around that time
2005,
frame, right?
But that's TNA, so that's not big at all.
I know. I'm just trying to think, like, what else would that have meant?
Yeah.
I guess it's just a dumb joke. I'm sure it was like a dumb...
Someone email us, though. We want to know.
Yeah. What's the connection there?
Let's move on, but we want to know still.
Yeah. It's such a great opening scene. And then it cuts to this, like, shitty, like, PowerPoint looking fucking intro screen and credit sequence at the beginning, and it's so charming. I love it. It just reminds me of a full moon feature in a lot of ways, you know. So there's this mean old woman. She's kind of, so this goes to this deli, and the main characters you'll kind of meet in a sec, but it's Nick and her name's Mackenzie, but she goes by Mac, but then she has that's her last name. Her first name is, I think it's Mary or something like that, but she calls her Mac. They call her, Nick calls her Mac a lot. So I'll just say Nick and Mac, but Nick and Mac work at this deli. And this mean old woman kind of comes in And she's like cussing out the deli staff, and there's a couple funny lines. She's like arguing over it. They're all kind of like, oh, here's this crazy old mean woman again kind of thing. And, they're talking about, Christmas is coming up, blah, blah, blah. Then she's driving home, and Santa Goldberg is driving his sleigh, which flies. We established very quickly it flies. Not just Santa's sleigh flies. This particular sleigh flies. We see it. But he's driving it on the road behind her and like tailgating her. And he pulls, I thought had to be a ludicrous reference out of there, but it doesn't seem to be now that I watch it again. But he does the move, bitch, get out the way. He yells it from his sleigh, but he says, get out of the way. In any case, he runs her off the road after that, but he drives this big giant sleigh and what he calls a hell deer, which is a buffalo.
That's so
a buffalo pulls his sleigh. I can't remember if it's one or two buffaloes.
It's one buffalo.
Yeah, I was gonna say, but it's a buffalo pulls.
I kind of like that. I like that interpretation. I think it's a fun one because buffalo are cool.
Yeah,
badass.
Big
tough.
Fucking buffalo.
Yeah.
It's enormous. He's in the sleigh. He's got his kind of like slightly more intimidating looking like leather Santa Claus outfits on. He's got this almost like old style like Turkish kind of like Santa hat on with the fur, but it's a little bit like pointy. So he's kind of doing the old school Saint Nicholas type of thing as opposed to like Santa's hat. But so they, like I said, they work in this deli. Nick lives with his crazy grandpa, who the whole town think is crazy. He's kind of this like almost prepper type of guy. Their last name is Yulson. Again, this is not a subtle movie by any stretch of the imagination. They live in Hell Township. Like, you get it, right? This is like it's a very tongue-in-cheek, very on the nose type of movie.
This movie feels like it occurs within like the Grand Theft Auto universe. Because there is so much time spent on creating fake brands, fake everything, and then everything also is like a pun in some way.
Yeah,
like
tons of them.
The deli is called Heaven Sent, and it's scent as in smells. There's and like in the scene that we're just talking about now, like Nick is watching something on TV that is some sort of advertisement for a football game or a hockey game or something. And it's presented by like some AsianHooker.com or something like that.
And this is a very Canadian movie, we should say, by the way. Like everything, it clearly takes place in Canada. I think in somewhere in like, it was in Winnipeg, because in that at the end they show like on the map or whatever. Anyway, it definitely takes place in Canada.
Well, does it take place in Canada, or is it in the States but filmed in Canada? Because it's for sure filmed in Canada.
No, I think because they make a couple of references that made me suggest that it was actually in Canada.
Okay.
Because first of all, Bill Goldberg at the end, there's no such thing as a spoiler alert here. Yeah. There's no real fucking story. Bill Goldberg, Santa, at the end is flying out of wherever he was supposedly at incognito, and he's flying from some Canadian city to another Canadian city.
Yeah, he's going to Winnipeg, I believe, but yeah.
Yeah. So I'm 90% sure it's supposed to take place in.
No, you know what?
Context
I have
clues,
proof.
definitely.
Nope. I got proof. I just remembered I have proof. Again, if we're not doing spoilers.
All right.
Dave Thomas's character, when they find his body, is impaled on a flagpole. It's an American flag.
You're fucking right. It is an American flag. Well done. Yeah, so apparently it does. But the whole sensibility of the movie is very Canadian. They talk about hockey multiple times.
Yeah.
Curling.
Curling, for Christ's sake. Like, it is a very Canadian movie. So for them
Dave
to even
Thomas is in it.
Dave Thomas is in it, for God's sakes. Like, if there's anything, nothing could be more Canadian than this movie. Chris Kattan's Canadian, I'm pretty sure. Snowmobiles. All the most Canadian shit. Anyway, also Grandpa's Robert Culp, which is great. He's been in anything in the 80s and 90s. I feel like Robert Culp is one of those guys who at least was on an episode of every single fucking show in the world. So he's got this like underground surveillance bunker, and he's very mysterious about the whole thing. You learn more about it later. It's not really consequential at this point, but they just keep cutting to Santa Goldberg, which is the best part of the movie, just walking around fucking terrorizing people and building and just whatever, right? He sticks a candy cane in a guy's eye. It's fantastic. Also, I laughed out. This is the type of movie it is, if I haven't fully communicated this yet. As they're walking up the stairs from the bunker, Grandpa farts in Nick's face.
Yeah.
I love nothing more than somebody farting in somebody else's face.
I made a point to note that they did a fart joke, and I was like, you don't see that. I think it's the layers that this movie is.
It's just gold. It's just fucking gold. I love it.
You would say Santa it's almost the tip of the Goldberg.
You need to fuck yourself. Giving me shit about puns. That was a good one. I'm not gonna lie. I wish I thought of it. So Santa, Grandpa, kind of tells Nick about his time, working for Santa, and he's got this big kind of book of claws, he calls it, which has been passed down through the generations of their family. They go into a full stop motion, a really shitty but really charming, fun stop motion animation segment where he explains that Jesus and Satan, Jesus and Santa Claus are the only immaculate conceptions in history, and Jesus, of course, the son of God. Santa is the son of Satan, which is such a great, so simple, so simple, guys. Why haven't we thought about that before? But he kind of gives them the lore at this point.
They really worked hard to develop the backstory there, though. That's thorough.
Yes, they wrote the shit out of this movie. There's some stuff that doesn't make any goddamn sense, but overall, it just they tried their ass off, and I appreciate the attention to detail. So Mac shows up to Nick and to his grandpa's house where Nick is. She brings some leftover Wolverine because her father is like a hardcore hunter gun nut kind of guy, which becomes a reoccurring theme and shows up later on. Dave Thomas as the pastor is fucking brilliant. I love Dave Thomas so much. I have an absolute, I could watch Strange Brew, the movie Strange Brew, with Dave Thomas and Rick Moranis over and over and over. I fucking love that movie. And Dave Thomas just absolutely kills me. He's one of those guys that he could say anything and I would laugh. But he's this kind of just rat shit pastor who is super crooked. He kind of goes and preaches on the pulpit, but then spends all the money from the collection at the strip club and all this type of stuff. He's like this really unscrupulous pastor. They go into this strip club scene, and this actually, Steve, makes a lot of sense with your GTA comparison, because so much of this movie is scored by original music,
right?
Much of which is about what's happening on the screen. It's so fantastic.
If it's not some sort of Christmas themed punk song, then it's about what's happening right on the screen. It's just
and it's all pop punk kind of stuff too. So they're in the strip club, and like I said, the song during this scene, that's what reminded me, is just fucking wild. But there's this big fight scene where Santa shows up. First of all, he shows up, he tries to valet his sleigh with the buffalo, which is fine. But he goes into the strip club. He starts, immediately, fighting everybody. All these guys who are at the strip club come up, beats the shit out of all of them. At one point, he goes to grab the actual, one of the stripper poles to pull apart and beat somebody with. He is grossed out by the I guess germs that would be on the stripper pole.
Hilarious.
He stops and gets a little spray bottle of cleaner. He's wearing gloves, by the way.
Right.
Little spray bottle of cleaner, wipes down the stripper pole before he takes it off and beats somebody, and then eventually electrocutes a person to death by sticking it up in a light fixture while they're holding on to it. But
which I thought that was probably the most creative way to kill somebody in this movie.
Yeah, that was a good one. I mean, you could tell there was a lot more kind of fight choreography associated with that than any other point, in the movie. There's a scene with a big round table where Goldberg's taking on 3 guys at once, and there's this whole, Goldberg obviously is a fucking, world-class athlete, so he's fucking giant, right? So the scene, the fight sequence isn't amazing, but he's just a fucking monster, so it's fun to watch him fucking throw tables around and toss people and shit. So stop sanitizing the stripper pole is a great gag. So he seems like he's going to spare the actual dancers, but then he pulls like a coal, like a piece of coal out from his pocket and like blows on it till it starts to glow red, and then throws it, and it sets the place on fire and assumingly like traps everybody inside. And then he comes back out, and his sleigh pulls up as like, you know, from the valet presumably, but the buffalo has eaten the valet and like Bart like burps out his hat.
Yeah.
And then he
Like,
just laughs
He's
about
like
it.
super proud. He's like super proud of it.
Nice
like,
job,
good job.
Yeah, you gotta love like it. This has like the perfect mix of like cartoony shit, and like that's cartoony shit because like when the buffalo takes off with the valet, and he just kind of pratfalls into the sleigh and takes off. And you go, and then it comes back, and it's like, yeah, that's like cartoony shit. But then there's a little bit of, I don't know. The movie's not scary at all. This is something that you could show.
No, not even a little bit scary. Yeah.
If it wasn't for like the racism and the other things, you could show this to kids. But
there's some goriness to it and stuff like that. But yeah, it's certainly not a scary movie by any stretch of the imagination. Goldberg is absolutely like an anti-hero. Like you want to see him on screen fucking people up and doing wacky stuff, basically. Right?
I feel like if you're comfortable with your child watching wrestling, then they probably are okay to watch this.
Right.
It's not too far off.
But let's say Attitude Era, though.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying. If you're comfortable having them watch Attitude Era, WWE, they'd be good to watch this movie.
Yeah, for sure.
That's what I always ask is WWSD. What would Sable do? If Sable would do it, then it's good for this. What would Wildman Mark Marrow do? would he be on this? Then yes, absolutely. So I should say also that at this point, like this whole kind of stop motion. Oh, I was gonna say. Oh, never mind. We'll get back to it because it comes back around the next time. This whole stop motion animation, I forgot to kind of explain. It's essentially like what they're telling is, the history of how Santa Claus is son of Satan and all this stuff, but also they explain this kind of like Devil Went Down to Georgia type scenario between like this angel and Satan. And it's curling, and I'm going to try to put, here's a hole to hell. I'm going to, throw my curling stone, and whoever's closer, if the angel wins, then Santa has to stop being evil and be nice to kids for 1,000 years. Mm-hmm. If the archangel wins, then I don't fucking remember. It's inconsequential, but it's basically something like, so he gets his soul or something like that. Mm-hmm. Of course, the angel wins, so Santa has been nice for 1,000 years. That 1,000 years ends on Christmas Day this year, right? So that's what's kind of happening here. I should probably have mentioned earlier. But so the old man, kind of outsmarts him is the way that he gets to it. So, because he actually like. Satan being, or Santa rather, who's like all like arrogant, slides the stone right up to the edge, and then the angel comes in and hits his and knocks it in and is right on the edge and wins. So there's one of these. This is a great fucking scene. Again, totally inconsequential. They're like, there's just a family. You just zoom in. Hey, you're at home with this family, and the kids are like, looks like they're like twin brothers or around the same age brothers, and they're like, let's open the motherfucking presents, like they're just being assholes. Like, just
can you get my fucking gifts, Grandma?
yeah. And the grandpa's like, what's going on? They open the presents, and there's, I guess they're bombs.
Yeah.
And it blows their kids' heads off. Literally blows their heads off. And they're just sitting there with like charred like neck stumps.
Again, Daffy Duck cartoon shit.
Yeah, it really is. Like you expect them to like look under the kitchen sink, and there's like an animal under there eating all the garbage going, it's a living or something. Like it's so cartoonish. I fucking love it. So they blow the kids' heads off for the present. They never say Santa did this. You just have to assume, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's what happens.
Who brought the presents? Who brought the presents? Yeah. Santa did.
Well,
okay, Brian, you had to understand this.
Yeah. But they never like
Santa's
go like,
real.
they never cut to like Goldberg outside the window going like, or anything, it's just like,
well, I think the mom in that scene says, let's see what Santa brought you.
You're right. She does say that. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, you don't need Goldberg to be there, but it's just, it reminds me a lot of the Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah,
where they all get all the bunk ass gifts.
Yeah. And they just like cut into the house to all these like little vignettes of like families discovering the shit. Yeah.
I wish they did more of those. Of like,
if it was just a half hour of those, I'd be thrilled. If it was just like Goldberg, just like everyone sitting around like saying dinner, and then Goldberg just like starts fucking, jackknife, power bombing people and fucking doing like hanging vertical suplexes and fucking all that. Or no, wait. His finisher was the spear, but then he also did was it called the jackknife?
Yeah, it was called the jackknife, yeah.
But it wasn't a jackknife.
Or no, it was the jackhammer. It was the jackhammer.
Jackhammer,
yeah.
Right. That's right. I was gonna say,
hammer.
It was, it was like a hanging vertical suplex that he like spun sideways basically into like a crossbody kind of thing. Anyway,
I want to see this right now. But I
really?
I want to see this. I think I'm with you. I think I need to go on YouTube after this and 110% just find a sequence of him doing all of his finishers, just like an hour
for those of
it.
you, so here's the thing. I am just assuming that everyone who listens to this podcast knows well and good who Bill Goldberg is, which is probably not fair to say. I just assume everyone in the world is very familiar with like 90s, early 2000s WCW. So Bill Goldberg was basically like supposed to be like WCW's answer to like Stone Cold Steve Austin. I mean, they tried to hype him up in the same way, but they did it in a very unique way where it was like for months and months, they would roll out these fucking jobbers and Goldberg would walk in and it would literally be like 8-second fucking match, or like they'd be like 90 seconds long. He would go in, they would have the fucking Brooklyn Brawler or some bullshit over there, and then Goldberg would spear them, flex, scream, pick them up, jackhammer, pin. That was it.
Done.
And he won like however many, like a fucking 90 matches in a row. And that was the whole thing, is like the streak. And that was how they got him over. That's how they ramped up his rise, was this kind of like gauntlet almost thing where like every Thursday Nitro, Goldberg was going to beat some jobber in 90 seconds for like 8 months. It was wild. But we fucking loved it.
I feel like
he kind of
they did
even
that
looked like Stone Cold a little bit.
Yeah,
because he's bald. He wears just a black tights.
Just not as much toot or like I feel like personality, but I feel like they kind of did the same thing with Brock Lesnar a bit too. So if anyone newer, like if you kind of think about what they did with him, that's like what they did with Brock.
Totally. You're right on both counts. He doesn't have a quarter of the ring presence or charisma. Goldberg, like he can barely cut a promo. He's nowhere. I mean, he's no Steve Austin.
He's just a face and a a feel like almost.
He's a
like
fucking jack.
He needed a manager, like totally the whole time.
He's an ex-football player. Like he played in the NFL. Like he's just a big fucking jack bald guy.
They did the same things with like both Goldberg and Brock Lesnar too, is in that they would find the biggest guys they had and then like have Goldberg and Lesnar do feats of strength against those giant guys. So like the Big Show was in WCW at the time, and like it's the most impressive thing to see Bill Goldberg give him the jackhammer, because he picks him up over his head, and it's like, holy shit.
He literally hangs him too. Yeah. And I remember when like we watch, like you'd be playing a WCW video game, and we like Thunder. I don't know if you remember Thunder. Like I still remember all the intros from all the. You remember when you do the character select screen and you hovered over it?
Oh yeah, they cut like a shitty promo.
Yeah. To this day, me and my friend Brian, like we played that game religiously when we were a kid. We'll text each other an entire promo. Like I'll just on a Wednesday afternoon, I'll just text him. I would literally text him, "Hey man, this is Alex Wright, the German, and if you want to know what the German's all about, then pick me, and you'll have a hell of a victory. I promise." And then he'll send me back, Jim the Anvil Neidhart's, which was. Hey, you gotta pick the Anvil, baby, because there's no way that anybody can beat an Anvil. You ever seen an Anvil drop on someone's head? Pow, pow. Literally, Conan, everyone.
That's dude.
We have all of them memorized. So my love for WCW in the 90s goes very deep. In any case, but anyway, we play that game, and I don't even know if they called him the Big Show. He was Paul Wright at the time.
I think he was
right? Paul
just
White.
the Giant.
Yeah, the giant Paul White or whatever. Yeah. And when you do the jackknife to him, you'd be like, oh, that looks so stupid, unrealistic. Then you look at the clip and you're like, no, that's fucking crazy. To him. It was wild. So undying love for Bill Goldberg still. In any case, he's just walking around town just fucking people up. And that's the best part of it by far. I really love this. Dave Thomas, they just do this little clip of Dave Thomas, again, from the pulpit. He's the pastor, and he's talking about, the senseless tragedy, of all the sinners at Gold Diggers, which is the strip club. And he's like, even though they were, and he was there. Right. Of course, the congregation doesn't know that. But he's like, even though they were sinners and lost souls, they were part of our community and they deserve our, sympathy or whatever. And he starts rattling off all the names of the strippers that were killed. And they're all puns, every one of them. You could tell he just sat down and wrote some stripper puns.
Yeah.
And I'm not even going to spoil it.
Back to GTA, world. But he's also full on flop sweating as he's doing all this.
He's dripping sweat. Oh, I love that fucking scene. So anyway, Goldberg comes in, he kills the deli owner. There's a funny scene where he's closed. The deli owner is Jewish, and that's like a big, very stereotypical. It's like a big part of his character or whatever. And he's like throwing shit at him and they're fighting and all this stuff. And he eventually pins, first of all, he dives through the deli counter, which is a great stunt. I would wonder, I think Goldberg did his own stunts for this.
I think he did a lot of them at least.
Yeah. He's he's an athlete, but he fucking threw himself through this deli counter, and then eventually pins him to the wall with a menorah through his throat, or one of the candles of the menorah through his throat.
I thought it was like kind of funny, and I don't know if they were trying to like pull this like weird like vampire-ish thing where they're like, here, I'm gonna show you my Star of David, and maybe that'll like ward you off.
He pulls out his necklace with the Star of David and tries to like flash it in his eyes. He's like, fuck you. And then I love that after he kills the deli owner, he just goes over, gets a bowl, starts eating coleslaw.
Yeah.
He just he does. Just starts eating coleslaw. Oh man. And then you get this quick cameo that is completely inconsequential with I forgot to write his name down. I know his name, I can't remember. It's Tiny Lister, who just passed away last year, didn't he?
Might have been last year, but it is recent,
Yeah, in the last couple of years, most famous for a lot of different things, but probably most recognizable is Debo in Friday, and some of the other Friday. He plays Friday, and does he come back around?
I don't know if he actually comes back around on Friday, but
no, he doesn't. He's only because Terry Crews plays him in Friday After Next, and Debo isn't in next Friday because it's the Joker brothers. I know a lot about the Friday franchise, guys. So the cops show up. They find the deli owner. Actually, Nick finds the deli owner. The cops show up. They start cracking jokes immediately, like all of these like anti-Semitic jokes. There's a group of Hasidic Jews walking up the sidewalk, and that's very stereotypical, with the kind of garb and everything. And he even goes as far as to say, hey, go question those Amish guys out there.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of really, really tasteless gags.
It's really bad.
Yeah. And I love the cops when they come in. This is the type of this summarizes the movie in a lot of ways. When the cops come in, one of them's like 6'4" and one of them's like 5 foot.
Yeah.
They like got two a super tall guy and a super short guy. So funny.
Did you feel like the super tall guy was trying to channel Bruce Campbell in any way?
I could see that. He was definitely trying to be the smart aleck cop. There was like the dumbass. The short guy was kind of be like the doofus,
right? And
he was trying to be like the smart alecky, like a Bill Murray-ish type of cop.
Just something in his delivery. Like if you listen to his cadence and everything, it sounded like Bruce Campbell to me. And I'm like,
he probably was trying to mimic. Yeah. I mean, how many people have tried to mimic Bruce Campbell? But I love this part, not because it's a funny gag, but just because it's so poorly executed. They go out to the cop car after they put everybody in the car, and there is a little message. It says like Hell Township Police or whatever on the side of the car, and then there's a little quote that says, "Crime doesn't stand a chance in hell," and it is literally looks like somebody wrote that on a piece of like construction paper and taped it to the car. Like it just looks so unbelievably bad.
But it was also written with crayon. Like
it really looks so bad. It's like somebody printed it on their like inkjet and then like just cut it out and taped it to the car. So Santa kills all the eventually goes to the police station, kills all the cops, and Nick and Mac are driving down the road and they get pulled over by the cop car, and then Santa gets out of the cop car. He's the one who pulls them over.
Just to go back for a second. So like Santa chases Nick to the police station and then kills all the police. Did you notice that when Santa's leaving the police station and there's all the bodies on the ground and stuff, there's the one body that he's taken the time to do the outline of?
No.
Yeah.
I didn't even see that.
There's one body, he's done the outline, but he's done it with scotch tape or masking tape.
Masking like painter's tape.
And then there's an outline of a Santa hat like next to the body. It's so cartoonish and silly.
Yeah, it's literally Looney Tunes shit. And then so they see it's him. They take off. Goldberg chases down the pickup truck. They're in Mac's dad's pickup truck. Jumps in the bed of the truck. They try to shake him off by like slamming on the brakes, then accelerating. Goldberg falls backwards. He does the like karate, like 80s karate, flip yourself up from your back to your feet thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like 6 times in this movie. Like it's his go-to fucking move.
It's the wrestler's move anymore. Every wrestler in the world has to do a kip up to like be like, oh, I'm powered back up, here I come.
No matter what, I only think of like Eddie Guerrero though. Mm-hmm. whenever people do that. But yeah, Goldberg, I mean, it's pretty impressive. I mean, he does it with the fucking full ass Santa costume on and stuff, but he does it way too many times. And eventually they presumably shoot him in the face with a shotgun, which just knocks him out of the truck, but there's no flesh wounds involved here. He's just like
completely
completely
no sells it. He sits up immediately.
Yeah. It's basically like somebody just like stood behind him like on all fours and somebody pushed him over their back, but he got blasted in the face with a shotgun. So they escape back to the bunker. It's like 2 hours until Christmas is over at this point. So like if we can survive until the end of Christmas, then his like powers go away or something like that. They don't really do a great job explaining it, but Santa shows up and just fucks up a bunch of carolers before getting into the house, eventually into the bunker, and they escape through this secret passageway where Grandpa has like snowmobiles waiting, and you get some dialogue between. So Santa Goldberg comes around the side of the house and they get this like kind of almost showdown thing where like Santa Goldberg obviously knows who Grandpa is, and he is kind of like, save yourselves. One of the snowmobiles won't work. And then Santa Goldberg just runs him down with the sleigh, very unceremoniously, just like runs his ass down from behind and then goes, oh, Santa got run over by a reindeer, which is one of the better puns. But there's a million of those in the movie.
This movie was great for that.
But then we get this snowmobile / sleigh chase as Santa throws exploding presents, like little gift wrapped like grenades almost he's throwing, which is a great scene. And there's a bunch of explosions. Like it's actually a really fun chase scene.
It's full of practical explosions and a real stunt team on snowmobiles. Like that is
they're doing fucking big snowmobile jumps. The one he launches over the car and lands on another car is sick. Yeah. Which is weird because then later, and this is coming up really quick here, actually. I mean, we'll just get to it right now. They eventually go into like the town square where the pastor is leading like a chorus of bells, and there's like a little like town square Christmas festival happening. And after that, you turn around, the Christmas tree's on fire, and they do CG fire. Yeah. And I'm like, why did you do CG fire when you just did all those fucking explosions in the trees earlier? I don't know. Maybe it was just something that got added in earlier.
Right.
Or later, rather.
Yeah.
But I love that the buffalo, the hell deer, has a red glowing nose, like he's Rudolph, the hell deer. I actually just noticed that the first time that watched this watch. Here's my next favorite line of the movie. Dave Thomas, when he realizes that Santa is coming down to attack them and is heading right for all of them, and they all start, scattering, he shoves a bunch of the bell players out of the way. It just goes, "Move it, you skanks!"
Yeah.
Oh, it's so unnecessary. It's so good.
He finally just drops all pretense that he's any kind of good person.
Move it, you skanks! He's shoving people out of the way. I love Dave Thomas. And then he ends up landing in the sleigh, and Santa gives him a fucking old, hot shot style smack, punch in the backhand punch in the face, and knocks him out. So at this point, there's a whole kind of couple of series of chases that are in here, including just lots of puns, like. There's one scene where he's kind of doing almost like the scene from Jurassic Park with the raptors in the kitchen kind of thing,
Mm-hmm.
but it's Mac and Nick, and they're in there and they're kind of trying to hide and sneak around in this like library, or it looks like an archive of some sort.
Well, it's the school library.
Yes, it is the library. You're right, but it's almost like it's in the basement. I don't know why I had it in my head.
It just
in the
looks like
basement.
shitty.
Yeah. In any case, Santa Goldberg has lost his sleeves at this point. Like, you could tell he hated wearing sleeves so hard. So now he's got his guns out. He's saying a bunch of puns, and his one is he pulls up a copy of A Christmas Carol and goes, "Christmas can sure scare the dickens out of people."
Which maybe this is what Gary Tunnicliffe is being thanked for, because again, you can remember the Dickens tie-ins from Hellraiser Judgment.
Yes, clearly he had a hand in that.
Or maybe
Hellraiser
Judgment is just doing a reference to Santa's sleigh.
That's true, because it was after this, right?
Yeah.
It was after this. We're talking 2018 versus 2005.
Yeah.
So
13 years later, Gary can't get over Santa's sleigh, and the one time he sent an email about doing a makeup effect.
It's canonical. I'm gonna hold to that. And also, I love the scene of like doesn't he try to like shine a flashlight or something in his face? Oh yes, because so after this they kind of open up from the library into a skating to the hockey rink,
right? Because
the library and the hockey rink are always adjacent, right? But they go out there and he has a light, tries to shine a flashlight into Santa Goldberg's face, and he goes, "I'm Santa Claus, not fucking Dracula." And I thought to myself, how much better would it be if he said Dracula instead of Dracula? It would be so much better. "I'm not fucking Dracula." So now they're on an ice rink. I mean, just kind of inexplicably. And the ghost of Grandpa shows up. Apparently he is the archangel. You kind of knew that was coming, right? There's not, like I said, there's not spoilers in this movie. It's all pretty predictable. But he gave up his immortality for the love of his wife. That's kind of, again, inconsequential, but that's kind of how they kind of explain it. Santa Goldberg reads Nick's letter. This part was confusing, and maybe I missed something, but Santa Goldberg, so they basically go like, the archangel Grandpa he's dead, right? But he's back as an angel, and he's like, we finally meet again, the archangel, blah blah blah, and he's like, "Yeah, that's why I moved to Hell Township, so I'd be easy to find, so we could have our, final showdown or whatever, or, you could find me when the 1,000 years is up." But then Santa Goldberg goes into like explaining how he found them, which was Nick writing a letter to Santa when he was a kid. Yeah. And that's how he found them. Yeah. And it's like, I thought you just said you wanted him to find you, you know what I mean? Like I was confused by,
well, maybe he wanted to know it would be him by giving him so many very clear clues, like, oh yeah, when Santa comes back, he's gonna want to go to hell, But so it's like, I'm going to go there. And then he knew his grandson would write to him. So I think I get where the confusion is, but I could kind of see a little bit of the like A to B and Y, but they weren't very descriptive on it. So I'll give you that.
But didn't it seem like Nick and Grandpa were both kind of like Grandpa was a little upset that Nick wrote that letter, and Nick was a little like embarrassed or ashamed that he led him to them?
Nick was embarrassed because earlier in the movie he had talked about how he never got any of the gifts that he wanted for Christmas. The only thing he got was a shitty Easy Bake Oven. Yeah. And then it's revealed in the letter that he actually asked for that Easy Bake Oven. So that's what he's embarrassed about.
I guess so. Yeah, I remember that part, but I remember there was kind of like a disconnect. Like, wait, you wanted him to find you, or you didn't want him to find you?
It plays a little rough, but I think Meg's right in the fact that like there's just a number of clues that were given to lead Santa to the grandpa.
Yeah, it's not going to make any goddamn difference in this movie. Like, this is not what you're here for, but I just thought that was interesting.
I think we're just going after debates to figure, like, we're definitely reaching right now.
I want my scripts tighter.
They do the whole curling thing again, and so this time Grandpa goes first, and then Santa just grabs Grandpa, throws his ass in the hole. It's just like a very unceremoniously just slides him up there, and then the clock strikes. Not the clock, but Nick has like this clock that the deli owner gave him, and it tells him, Christmas is over in whatever time zone that the North Pole is supposed to be. But then Santa Goldberg does this thing where he's like, "You dumbasses don't know about time zones." And he does this thing about like, actually the North Pole is where all the time zones collide, or converge. So I say when Christmas is over. And then they're like, apparently he's bluffing at this point, which you later find out, but it's just so fucking dumb.
I mean, hey, if we would have had the clock that the what is it? The deli guy. If we would have had the clock that he gifted him, then we would have known this. We could have called him out. We could have gone and figured out ASAP.
Well, he did. That was the thing. He did have the clock.
Oh, he had it
that's
with
how
him?
he knew.
Yeah.
That's how he knew.
Bullshit. Yeah.
He was basing it on Greenwich Mean Time, which is the prime meridian. But then Santa's like, it just ends when I say it ends. But the thing is, it doesn't end when you say it ends. It ends when the day's over, which is like the last, it'll avenge 24 hours.
just because even if the time zones are constructed by man,
right? That too.
like time zones aren't a real thing in nature. No, like nature doesn't care about time zones. When the day is over, the day is over. It doesn't stop time because your clock reads something different. But in any case, it's a dumbass part, but it's it suits the rest of the movie. And then Nick shoots a flaming chestnut into Santa's chest out of this like chestnut roaster / nutcracker thing that his grandpa was creating, and then does the pun is he says something about a chestnut.
I think that's all he says. I think
he just says a chestnut. Yeah. It's like they couldn't even come up with a goofy line to like illustrate the pun. They just were like, that's a pun. And then they just moved on.
Yeah. I guess D's Nuts wasn't popular enough in 2005.
The best thing would have been better if he was like, hey, Santa, you like tapes or CDs?
Yeah.
He would have still been on 8-tracks.
Yeah, probably. So at this point, Grandpa... So I love that the chestnut like knocks Santa down, like down and out for a period of time, while a shotgun blast to the face was not a big deal. Grandpa had just been like hanging on the edge of the pit to hell, so they kind of save him. Dave Thomas wakes up and is getting hit with a comically fake hammer. It's just beautiful. I mean, it's the most Looney Tunes-ish thing in the world. He wakes up and Santa just has like this rubber mallet and just smacks him on the head. Like if birds would have flew around his head, it wouldn't have been hardly any more comical. Santa bails, he gets help from Santa bails, and then Nick gets help from Mac's family, who's having like a stag party / like hanging out and shooting things with guns, I think. And they decide, they kind of talk them into like, hey, if you shoot a deer, you want to shoot a flying deer. It's like a very rare thing, and they're all like all horned up to shoot a flying deer. So
they were goofy as fuck.
Yeah, Mac's dad eventually blows up this buffalo with a bazooka, which, again, another
Punisher Warzone.
Punisher Warzone reference. And I love, my favorite part of this was that the bazooka was bought with cigarette points from his friend. Who is basically, he's the character from South Park that's friends with Uncle Jim or whatever. Right. Ned, or I think his name's Ned, right? On South Park. Yeah, he's basically Ned from South Park. Yeah, so spiraling towards the end here, Dave Thomas gets impaled on a flagpole. That's how we know it's an American movie, or it's set in America. And they think they killed Santa at this point, obviously. So, Mac and Nick finally, make out. And then Santa Goldberg gets on a plane. He's kind of dressed in like biker garb. He's kind of incognito, and he's on his way back to the North Pole. The original music during the credits is wonderful. It's about it's like Santa is a bad guy, now he's a biker going to the North Pole. Like, it's seriously just like reliving the end of the movie. And the whole time I'm watching this movie, I remember the first time I was watching it, I was like, there are so few wrestling references. Why aren't you doing anything Goldberg-ish, And then finally at post-credit sequence, you do get Santa Goldberg looking at his naughty nice list and says, "Who's next?" So you do get a little bit of satisfaction there with the Goldberg reference, but it's just the absolute dumbest fucking. So this and Jack Frost are just the two like schlockiest, stupidest Christmas horror movies that I could just watch 5 times a year and never get sick of them. But
no, I
it's a blessing.
It. That was good. That was fun. That got me into the Christmas spirit, Brian. You knew just what I needed to put me over the edge.
You needed a little eggnog. You needed a little Santa sleigh. Now you go watch Jack Frost. We're good to go. So I'm glad that it was a success. I feel like this was a fairly kind one. You know what I mean? It wasn't uninvited.
Your bar is pretty low, bro.
Wait, no, we did Head of the Family, right? We did Head of the Family. We did Uninvited. None of them were fucking, what's the shitty band
Cradle
movie
of
that
Fear?
Steve gave us? None of them were Cradle of Fear. So I just want to be on the record that one of us has a reputation for being a sadomasochist, and one of us has a reputation for watching fun movies.
You've only done it's a slim ratio. You've done 2 to 1 fun to bad, and I
maintain that uninvited is blast.
That cat noise fucking grind my ears out.
You just hate the lazy editing.
Yeah, it makes me crazy. But I still gave you guys Tokyo Gore Police. I mean, come on.
You did.
Very true. Very
true. That's true. Well, any other final thoughts on Santa's sleigh?
I am still perplexed by the relationship between Nick and Mac, of why Nick never just gets it that she's into him.
Yeah, I get the feeling, because there's not a lot explained about their relationship besides the fact that they're definitely both into each other, but Nick is like really clueless with any matters of romance. That's kind of how I took it. It's like an emotional
teenage boy, though. Like, he's just so blinded by his, like, I don't know, like frustrations with like his grandpa.
Yeah, he's too angsty to realize she likes him.
But he's angsty over Christmas, Like that's what this is all about. Like, what's going on?
Yeah. It's definitely a very surface level relationship.
I don't know if I missed it. I did appreciate when she gave him the gun that turned into the figure, which I thought was
Transformer.
Really... Yeah, I thought that was actually really funny.
This reminded me as well, what other movie were we watching when someone dropped the R word and we were like, but the way they used it was really, really funny. Yeah, Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
It was Thanksgiving. This is a similar situation in this movie. But like I said, I will let you all experience that on your own. I don't want to take all the wind out of the sails of Santa's Sleigh, because I strongly urge that you go watch it free on the Peacocks, guys. Go check it out. Get your spirits up. Deck your fucking halls. Do all those things.
Yeah, we're just over here spreading a little Yuletide fear. You know, to quote the movie. We'll go with that.
To quote Santa Claus.
To quote Santa Claus.
I love it. So, a couple of things. One, we don't know what we're going to do next week yet. Do we know? I don't think we
don't know. We'll discuss it.
Yeah, we will discuss it. But you know what? We're going to bring some more spooky Yuletide cheer your way, probably in some manner or another. If you haven't already and you want to help us this week, you will see it in the Instagram story. I'll probably post a link to it in some capacity on the feed as well. And then we'll also put the vote over on the Twitters as well. You will get the opportunity to vote for our January Showdown episode, which I'm super psyched about because I'd be thrilled to do any of these. Again, back to school, favorite Hitchcock or musical horror films. Once again, at Halloween is Forever on Instagram, at Hallow Forever on Twitter, Halloween is Forever podcast on Facebook, at Halloween is Forever pod on TikTok, Halloween is Forever pod on a Gmail. Check it out. Send us suggestions. Vote. And that's what we're going to be doing for January. But we got a lot of spooky, ooky Christmas stuff between then and now. So anything else that we're forgetting before we sign off to this here festive minisode?
That's it.
That's all, folks.
Well, if that's the case, guys, for the Halloween is Forever crew, I'm Brian.
I'm Megan.
I'm Steve.
Bye-bye. Bye. Bye.